It's Monday on Daily Delivery. Michael Rand here, Patrick Reusse with me as usual. We got plenty to get to today. Gophers beating the Badgers, Wolves, Wild, Gopher volleyball, probably a few other things mixed in there. The Frost. We're going to start with the
Ooh,
Vikings, though, Patrick. They did it again. This was different, though. They've played a ton of close games this year. Now I think they're 7-1 in one-score games this year after being 11-0 in that
two
2022
years ago.
season.
2 years
Yeah,
ago, yeah. And
yeah,
last year being terrible in
yeah.
in one score.
6-8 last year.
Yeah.
Almost every game was one score last year.
Yeah.
But this year, it's most of the time it's been play from ahead and then hold on to win. This was the first time I can remember this year where they had to scramble and win like this. But man, coming back from 19-6, I think Ben Gessling pointed out that when the Cardinals had it first and goal with about 4 minutes left, and the Cardinals are up three at that point, the win probability for the Cardinals was 91%. And yet they find a way, 23-22. What stood out to you in this one?
How stupid Arizona was stood out to me. They, it's, what, 10 penalties they ended up having, one down there on the goal line, and then Murray throws it away, and they end up kicking all those field goals. You got to, you get, to me, you're on the 5 yard line, you got to score a touchdown, and even, fourth down, they still were down on
Fourth
the
and four,
four
I
or
think.
something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to, I agree. I hate Greg Olson. He drives me nuts. He won't shut up. But I think he was right when he said they got to go and score a touchdown and win the game. Here's my theory. If you're on the 4 yard line and the other team's got a knack for moving the ball from down there, you got to win the game. You got to score the touchdown. If you get stopped, you got him on the 4 yard line. You got a
Yeah.
chance to stop him. But if you kick the field goal, you're giving them the ball in the 25. You know that, and there's got
30.
plenty.
Yeah.
They got that 30. That's right. It's the 30 now. And you got plenty of time left, and there was. Arizona's got to feel like idiots because they outplayed them all day long, basically, and ended up giving the game away. But I don't know. Were you surprised they went down, scored a touchdown? I wasn't. Arizona's got a pretty good defense, but you knew somebody'd be called for pass interference somewhere along the way to help them on the drive. I got in trouble on Twitter last night. I said when the Vikings look at their 10-2 record, they've been treated more generously by the officials this year than maybe at any time in history. Some of their games they haven't been penalized much at all, and the other thing is Aaron Jones fumbling twice kind of distorted the whole game because they were, so Arizona got two stops that they probably shouldn't have because of his sudden fumbling habit. So that's I don't know. They were not very impressive most of the day, I didn't think. And Arizona's defense looked great, and then they ended up committing penalties and screwing it away. So 10-2, hard to argue with it, man. They're going to be at home for a playoff game. That's for sure. They could be,
No,
if
not
they go to
actually. Probably not.
Detroit.
Probably not though. Actually, unless they
Oh,
can
that's
pass
right. They have to
Detroit.
win it. That's right. I keep forgetting that's not total record. It's you got to win the division.
Yeah.
You're right. But if they go to Detroit and win at the end of the season, Detroit's not playing as well right now. Detroit's kind of
No.
slipping a little bit, and they're beat to hell. They got all kinds of injuries on their defense, Detroit, and they got another loss in them, maybe two. So you end up going down and beating them at the end of the season. You'll be the number one seed. You're going to be
Yes.
not have to play the first round. That would be something if this team ends up like 14-3 and then gets the number one seed. It's incredible, and that defense is good, even though
Hmm.
they weren't as dominant. They certainly were when the game was being decided. So Grenard's our new hero. He's something, and we keep talking about it. But the additions they were able to bring in here because they didn't sign Hunter and Cousins are amazing. And by the way,
Yeah.
Kirkyville,
No.
Kirky lovers. He threw
Oof.
4 interceptions on. I looked it up. His quarterback rating yesterday was 40. So
40.
40. So he's
Isn't 39.6 about as low as you can get? I
I
thought
think
I can't
I think
remember.
it is.
I can't remember what
Yeah,
the
well, he
lowest you can get is.
threw 4 interceptions, and I think they're still tied for first at 6-6
Yes, they are.
in the mighty NFC South. So I don't know. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. The Vikings. This whole idea that they were going to be a 6.5 or 7 win team was stupid all the way. But to see them 10-2 is incredible. I don't even,
Yes.
I should know the schedule better. Who do they got coming in there next? Who's coming in
Well,
there
it's the
next?
Falcons next. It's
Oh,
Kirk.
that's right, Kirkville. That's Kirkyville.
It's
All
Kirk
right,
next,
they're
and then
gonna
I think
beat
it's
that. They'll beat that. That's 11-2. Then what?
well, I think it's the Bears here
Twelve
after
and
that.
two.
Could be
That's
12 and
twelve
2,
and
and then
two.
you got I think at Seattle, which is always
Uh,
that Seattle's
Starts
not great, but
raining.
that's a tough one, just schedule wise, fan wise. They never play well on that when
Mhm.
they have to travel there. Then I think it's home against the Packers and at
Yeah.
Detroit to finish.
Yes. 14-3 is a distinct possibility here when you
It's
look at
got
that
possibility.
schedule.
Yeah, I
Yes,
mean
that
it.
would be something, man.
Yeah,
It
I
would
think
be.
13-4 should, I think they could at least do that. But we'll know more too because this Thursday night game is Lions and Packers this week.
Yes.
So we'll
Yes.
know a little bit more there. By the way, someone told me, and I'm looking it up right now, that um, Kirk Cousins, after yesterday's game, will now lead the NFL in both interceptions and fumbles. And I'm looking it up. He's definitely leading in interceptions. He's got 13 now after those 4 yesterday. Darnold's got 10. Everybody's complaining about Darnold and his 10 interceptions at one point, but the guy who is supposedly the safer player, the one who's
Hmm.
not going to get you in trouble like that, has 13 now. And I'm not finding fumbles right away, but I'm guessing this person is correct because he seems like he knows his stuff. So I think your
Well,
guy Kirk,
he's a permanent target. He's a standing target. So
yes,
he's always been. He can step around a little bit in the pocket, and every time he listen, if he'd gotten vaccinated, he wouldn't be as popular as he is. Okay, let me put it that way. It's a lot of his popularity here the last couple of years was based on the great divide in the United States of America, and he was on one
yes,
side of that great divide. And I'm glad they got rid of him. I never liked him. I mean, I thought he was an adequate quarterback, making ungodly amount of money. And the fact they can look ahead now, and they got rid of him. They got right now they got 70 some million in cap space projected for next
for
year.
next year. Yeah,
They're going to be better. So
yeah.
they're going to be able to do a lot of stuff because they got rid of him and the honor. Now they're going to have to pay some fellas here pretty soon,
Yes.
but they got they're going to have the Daniel Jones thing is still shocking to me, and I think it just says that they're committed to J.J. McCarthy, and I guess we talked about this the other day,
Yeah.
but they're committed to J.J. McCarthy, and they think that Darnold might be too expensive, so they're going
Yeah.
to they want a veteran quarterback who's not going to cost them any money because he's still getting his money from the Giants. So
Yes.
yeah. So that must be the reason. Is it among well if the fact they changed what you could do with with the guys who aren't on the official roster, the
Yeah.
practice squad is incredible. But it's got to be one of the oddest signings in Viking franchise history that all of a sudden this quarterback who's got no chance to play decided to come in here.
Yeah.
It's just
It's
he wanted to get out of New York and the insults, I suppose. I don't know.
well, it's insurance. Like I said, it's insurance for the rest of this year. Like if something happens to Darnold, it's depth. It's a guy who could play. It's a guy who's won a playoff game at US Bank Stadium. He's a
Yes, he did.
co-leader in career playoff victories at US Bank Stadium with Case Keenum, I believe, for quarterbacks. But
One each, huh?
one each. But also, yeah, I mean, I was astounded. Like I was talking to Ben Gessling and Andrew Kramer last week on the Access Vikings podcast, and they're basically saying like Darnold, if he finishes the year like he's been playing, is going to get like a $40 million contract next season. He's going to be
Oh
like
no,
he's going to
tell them
get
both
paid.
that. Are we do we take a little break out there and go out and have some marijuana cigarettes? Is that what we're doing here? He is
Listen,
not getting $40 million. He's
that's the
not getting.
that's that's like
Nobody
the
wants him that badly.
that's like
Okay,
league
I don't
average now
agree.
for a quarterback. That's what
I
Daniel
know, but
Jones was
he's
getting. That's what
who
Kirk.
who has one? Who's desperate enough for a quarterback that they're gonna, most of them just go draft the cheap one if they really need a
Right.
quarterback. So I mean, I think he'll get a job, but he is not gonna. He's gonna go get a $25 million contract someplace. I think
That's what I thought, but
be
that's
the
what I thought.
starter for 3 years, maybe. So
That's what
he
I
isn't.
thought.
He isn't. Let's have a parade for this guy. Nah, yeah, he's played good.
Yes.
Okay, but he's not like tie your wagon to him guy. I don't think. I don't
I
think.
don't
Maybe
think
I'm
so either,
crazy.
but he's got like 23 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. His like pro football focus grade is top 10. His ESPN is like average. Like he's this is it's less a reflection of Darnold and more a reflection of like where the quarterback market is. Like anybody who's got a
Oh,
pulse, who has a good year, kind of gets paid. Like the Baker Mayfield contract, the Geno Smith contract
Baker
after they have one
Mayfield
good
is
year.
better than Sam Darnold. Okay, that's one
I
reason
think so
for it. He,
too, but
he went down there and established himself. So
Sam is 10-2 this year. He's got 10 games this year with a passer rating over 100. The only two other quarterbacks in Vikings history to do that were Favre in 2009 and Dante in 2000. And it's different era of passing. I know, like it's a lot easier. The throws a lot of times are shorter, although Darnold throws further. I was surprised too. I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying that's what they were saying, and they know better than I do.
uh,
We'll see.
I disagree
Okay.
wholeheartedly that he'll get
Well,
some kind of $120 million 3 year contract. That's not happening.
okay.
Okay. Well,
We'll see.
maybe if half of it's guaranteed or something.
Yes,
You
right.
know
Like
who
a
should sign him though? Maybe Atlanta. Then they can have him and Penix. That guy.
well,
That would be that guy now.
there's
That guy been fired yet? By the way, that idiot general manager.
no, but well, and all the questions in the post game yesterday were, "Hey, is it time to go to the rookie?" Like, not 100% guarantee that we're going to see Kirk on Sunday here. Although I would think they would.
Oh God, so they got to come in and play him.
Yeah.
So how's the crowd going to react when he comes in? Are they going
Oh,
to
that's a good
cheer him,
question.
or
I
is
think
they?
he'll probably. I think it'll be mostly applause because, like, when a guy I mean, although I mean, it's complicated because he technically did choose somebody else,
Yes,
but the Vikings made it pretty clear that yeah,
they
you're
weren't ever going to bring him
no,
back. They
no, they
just
were not.
said they were going to bring. They said,
Right,
"Oh, we'd really like to bring him
right,
back."
right.
That was a that was one of the great exit moves they ever made.
Yes,
It
yes,
was like, "Oh, we love him. We think he's a
right,
great guy."
right.
It's too bad we didn't still have Zim as coach.
Uh-huh.
I don't want the guy.
Right.
Let
Get him
him
out of
go
here.
wherever he wants to go. Get him
Right.
out of here. So anyway, yeah, 10-2. It's astounding, and
It is.
it's. I would say the defense is 70% responsible
Yeah,
for this team being
I agree.
10-2. No, I think it's the incredibly improved defense has been the number one.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
yesterday they're the only thing that kept you in the game.
Correct.
That they making either
Yes.
making that team kick field goal or having them be stupid enough to settle for kicking field goals. When you're down in there, this coach they got who used to be he was St.
Jonathan
Thomas
Grenard or no,
for
yeah, not yeah, it's
Gannon
not
was
Grenard. Gannon, yeah, yeah, Gannon.
yeah
He was an
he's
assistant here for a while too, yeah.
oh that's right yeah well he likes the field goals so anyway
Yeah, they got too conservative in that game. They definitely were the better team for most of the day. It's just Vikings got him in the end, and you're right. Yeah, the defense. I'm worried about Gilmore's injury though. They can't
yeah
survive very long if he's going to be out. Although they made it sound post game like maybe not too serious. I worry about older cornerbacks and hamstring strains, though. It doesn't seem like it's a one game injury, but if it's only a couple, I think they could probably get by and be okay for the stretch run. But their cornerback depth, like a lot of their kind of skill position depth, is not all that great because they
Yeah,
sure picked on
that's
Fabian Moreau when he came in.
yes, they did. For I didn't even know I never heard of him until he got on the field yesterday. What was is he a free agent signee
I
or off the practice squad or something?
Yeah, he's
I
been
never
kind of up
heard
and
of him.
down this year. He hasn't been on the active roster
Mm.
a terrible amount, but I mean they got rid of all their other guys. I mean they got rid of Booth right at the start of the year.
Mhm.
They just cut a Caleb Evans like a week ago. So they're just
Did they
like,
get him back? And they were going to try to get him
no,
back on the practice
no.
squad
I
or
think the
something. Did
Panthers
somebody
signed
claim
him.
him?
I think the
Oh, okay,
Panthers claimed him. So yeah,
okay,
they don't have
okay.
Caleb Evans either.
Well,
So not a lot to show
yeah.
for that first draft now that Ed Ingram isn't starting. But
Let's give Quasi benediction on that. But I mean, they've done some yeoman work here, lad. Putting
mhm,
this team together, they did some. They made some great maneuvers. They're in great position for the future. They got some money,
mhm.
and I think okay, in a lousy first draft,
Yeah,
that happens.
we'll give it. Yeah, that's
I've
true.
been around long enough to remember when they drafted Leo Hayden in the first round. He played about 10 plays, so. He was going to be a running back of the century, and it didn't
Yeah.
happen. They've screwed up other drafts too.
Yes,
It's
they
not
have.
even
That is true.
even when Horseshoe Harry Grant was there, they had a few bad drafts.
That is
So
true. That is
they
true.
got they had Denny taking Derek Alexander instead of Warren Sapp because
That's true.
Warren Sapp got caught smoking that vile marijuana.
Right.
You know, the world
Generation
is
later, you get it
the
everywhere.
world has changed now. Yeah,
Yes.
so.
Yes.
If they had Warren Sapp, they would have won a Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
Let me tell you that.
Yeah.
Then we wouldn't
That's
have to worry about it.
the Gophers, 24-7 in the finale over the Badgers on, I guess that was Friday.
Badgers,
And, you know,
Badgers somehow, a couple of weeks
terrible.
ago, played Oregon close, but they got a
Yes.
well, I looked at their injury list. They had about 8 guys missing,
Oh,
but
the quarterback is terrible.
yeah, he's awful. He wasn't supposed to be the
No.
guy that they had. Who'd they have? I don't know. One guy who the guy they had didn't make it out of the first quarter of the first game. I think he got hurt right away, and they ended up
Yeah.
playing this. This guy was a transfer too, but they spent a lot of money in the transfer portal to be
Hmm.
awful. And it's funny they fired Chris because they were worried about his recruiting. You know, he was down there in the
Hmm.
35-40 rank with us, and he. They gave this guy a ton of money because he won. He got in the playoff at Cincinnati, and he has not. He has not been the answer, and they look terrible. I was surprised that the view. I didn't know what crowd did they announce. It looked the long view looked like they were pretty close to full when the game started. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
it's never close to full with the students because they show up in the second quarter, but. They got to be pretty disgusted down there, and it'll be interesting to see what happens down there. I mean, they haven't been really good for a long time, though. I mean,
No.
they've had decent seasons, but they've never had a team like this. It's
Well, yeah.
not even bowl. They haven't reached the golden achievement of being bowl eligible, 6-6. So they also. They've scheduled kind of a giddy, and didn't they play Alabama this year? Right? Didn't they play
Was it
Alabama
this year or
this year?
last
They
year? It was
playing.
recently. Yeah. It was
Yeah,
recently.
they're going to play them. They're going to go down there. I think they had a home and home, and didn't they have them come and play in Lambeau or something? I don't know.
Yeah.
They're coming to play in
It's,
Lambeau, so
it's,
they were getting a little over their skis scheduling.
yes.
Meanwhile, we got Lindenwood coming to town in a couple of years, so we're smart enough to give PJ try to give them those 3 victories to start with. This year, they managed to lose that North Carolina game. That North Carolina game plagued them all year
Yes, it
because
did.
if the guy makes the field goal, they beat them, and they're 8-4, and they're
Yeah.
looking at a pretty good bowl game, and
Yeah.
they're going to do okay though. If you end up going to Nashville, that's fine because people go down there and get drunk and stumble around the streets. That's what
Right.
bowl games are all about. So, they
I
go down and have a party.
I dare say they were a little bit, maybe even more than a little bit better than I thought they were this year. They just had more talent than I really thought at the
Oh, they
start of the
did.
year. They were just better. Yeah,
Defensively, they were
they had
what
some players.
18th and 16th in the country,
Yeah.
18th in the country, something defensively.
Mm-hmm.
Their new defensive coordinator had himself quite a year, and
Mm-hmm.
that was the key to him. And then the quarterback was
Quarterback
competent
was good.
too.
He was good.
Yeah, he was fine. He started off that you watched him play the first half of the first game against North
Right.
Carolina and said, "Ugh,
Right.
bring back sinker baller," but he wasn't. He was never. He ended up being good. That was, you know, 24-year-old guy from New Hampshire. I guess you didn't expect that, but whoever decided he was the guy to go get in the portal made a good decision. Whether it was PJ or somebody else,
Yeah.
one of their offensive guys. But yeah, they were better than we thought they were, and they have to look at the year as missed opportunities, because
Yeah.
they could have won a couple of more games, and they played Penn State as tough as
Yeah.
Penn State's now third in the country.
I
For
know it.
goodness
Yeah.
sakes. They are not that good. They are not that good. But yeah, this was a year where they didn't get lucky. They could have been
Yeah.
they could have been better. They had the chance. How about Michigan beating Ohio
How
State?
about
That's
that? Yeah.
unbelievable. I don't get that. But
No, I don't either.
Ryan Day was. I've heard his post. I didn't see it. I heard his post. Some of his clips, and so depressed about getting beat by him. And
Yeah.
then we had a big riot afterwards. We had a big
Right. We
fighting.
tried to plant
Right.
the flag again. So we got to stop planting the
We
flag
got to
at
do
these
is
stadiums.
plant and flag. Get P teams off the field.
Yes,
That's the thing.
number one. Don't do that. Just go back to your locker
I
room.
was up at St.
Oh yeah, that's
John's
right.
Saturday, and we had milling after the game between La Crosse and St.
Really?
John's, where we were about 2 seconds from somebody throwing a punch, and all hell breaking loose. So they were
Cooler
over.
heads. Cooler heads prevailed.
Usually, like in D3 in a playoff game, they go and shake hands, and you didn't know what they were doing, but it was definitely mingling, and I don't know what the lacrosse version is, but the St. John's version was they had guys spitting on them and stuff like that.
Mm.
So I don't know if that's I didn't do enough reporting to suggest that was a big controversy, but yeah, they were even that they were close to fighting each other after a game. So. Yeah, I don't know what you do about it, but how the fact that you got what do they still have travel restrictions? I mean, how many teams
I think
when
so.
Michigan comes to town? You got 60 guys or
I
80?
can't remember.
Or
It's
you
not. Yeah,
probably
it's different than when
it's
you're at
not.
home.
I think it
You don't
used to
put
be
you don't
60.
bring everybody. Yeah.
It used to be 60. But what I'm saying, I get too many people out
Yeah,
there,
that's
and
true.
there's a lot of hormones going on to play that game. You're not.
Yes.
You're not some wimpy guy. You're playing football now. You gotta be a bit crazy to play the game as great as his athletes. I was watching. I was watching a film of the old Johnny's game after the
Hmm.
game with and from 19 because it was the exact 60th anniversary of their
Okay.
first ever playoff game
Okay.
out at Met Stadium, and they won the national championship. They beat Prairie View A&M, which had like 8 NFLers, but it's a different game.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The
Yeah.
size of the athletes, the
Oh sure.
speed of the athletes. I mean, they kill each other now, and you're out there killing each other, and for 60 minutes, and the other team beats you, and you think you're going to win, and it's Ohio State, Michigan. Get them out of there. Get them
Yeah.
off the field.
Yeah.
So,
I know it.
but I don't know how you do it.
No,
I don't know how you do it. But anyway,
I don't either.
yeah, the Gophers had a good year. Considering now this whole nonsense of you had a 4.5 over and under. You could look at that non-con. You already gave them 2 in the non-conference schedule, right? So everybody says that they're going to end up going. That you would then have to have. You would be predict to go 2-7 in the Big
Yeah,
Ten.
I know.
Yeah, that's nonsense.
Well,
But but I think they were probably projected to win, 6, and they won 7, and they
Yeah.
could have won 9 awful easy.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. They were better than we thought, but they left room for um, wanting a little bit more once you saw how good they were. I mean, and it's set up now where you go 10-2, you're in the conversation for the 12 team
Yes.
playoff. Like they're,
Yeah.
seven's far from 10, but you can start to daydream a little bit about, man, they were
Yeah.
close against Penn State, should have beaten North Carolina, could have beaten Rutgers. Then you're at 10. Even the Michigan game, you could you squint and
By
you're
the way,
like, okay, in a future year when they have talent, this is within reach now. This is just
yeah.
different than it ever used to be for a program like Minnesota.
It depends on, a lot of it depends on the schedule you draw. I mean, it's just they're throwing darts. The
Yeah.
Big Ten is like Indiana this year. Well, Indiana's no good. Let's give them a weak schedule, and then they end up going 11 and
Going
1.
11
But
to 1.
probably being in the playoffs. How about that guy? 66-0 over
Yes.
Purdue. I
Yeah.
was listening to the radio driving back from St. John's, and it's 35-0, was it 35-0? And they're going to kick a field goal, and he runs a fake field goal and runs down to the end zone. And the starter was on, and he got the Purdue guy was going to get fired anyway, but he
Oh
got him.
yeah.
But 66-0. Come on,
Yeah.
buddy. What a jackass. I mean, he's he's a hero, and he had a great year as Signetti, but he must be a no good guy as far as a sportsman, as we say,
Right.
because to
Right.
put it on
Yes.
Purdue 66-0 is ridiculous. You
That was
you
pretty
will
rough.
pay for that eventually. Maybe not him, however. So,
No, somebody
but
will. Somebody will.
anyway, yeah. But it's it's who are you going to play? As I say, if they had this year's schedule under normal circumstances when Southern Cal's good and UCLA is close to good, and how often are you going to
Wisconsin.
draw?
Yeah.
How often are the Gophers going to be able to sweep the two LA teams?
Yeah.
That the two LA teams are going to be in this situation that they're so mediocre. And Washington, you
Yeah.
brought in 4 teams from the West Coast, 3 of them stink.
Yeah.
And Oregon's number 1 team in the country,
Right.
and the other 3, Washington had a bad year, and the 2 down in LA. This is bad as Southern Cal can get, and this is as bad as UCLA can get. So,
Yeah.
to me, I've been saying this. You look around at Nebraska, you look around at Illinois was one of the best teams in the league. They were mediocre as you could
Yeah.
get. The Gophers beat them. That was
Yes, they
probably the
did.
best win. But
Yeah.
the Big Ten's going to brag about having 4 teams in the playoff, but the other 14 were not good. So
That's true. Yeah. It was
anyway,
four is top heavy and then bottom heavy, and then there's the
uh,
kind of squishy middle that the Gophers win. But overall, probably a better season than I thought they were going to have. But
yeah,
you're right.
yeah.
But
Well,
yes, but in the
I
future, you're right. It will get tougher, especially if these programs rebound the way you would expect them
I
to.
wouldn't say 7-5 is a shocking record, but the fact
No.
that they were having a chance to be better than that, and
Yes.
that they
Yes.
played Michigan tough, which is not good, but then they beat Ohio State. The Rutgers game is the clinker, but they deserved to lose that game. They went
They
out there
did.
and got beat. They went out there, and that was their worst game of the year, and they went out and got beat. And man, you win that game, you end up losing. End up winning what 6 your last 7 or something like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh, quickly, let's
We'll
move
have to give
on.
him a raise. We better give him another
Yeah,
raise,
well,
don't you think? We gotta give him another raise.
he's, he's good at that.
Bowl eligible. That's what counts. We're
Yes,
bowl
we're in.
eligible.
And I'm sure I'll talk to Randy Johnson this week about where they could be headed, although we got to wait for all the conference title games to sort out exactly
Boy,
where
are
they're
they
going.
look at the list of conference
I
title
know.
games. They stink. By the way, the Big 12. Ugh, what they
Yeah.
ended up, that this idea that there are four major conferences the Big 12 is nothing to write home about, and
No,
the ACC isn't great either.
no.
But the Big 12, you end up with Iowa State and Arizona State playing in
Oof.
the
Just a
championship game.
just a
Yeah.
just a classic Big 12 matchup is what that is, Patrick.
Yeah. Has
A
Oklahoma
lot of
fired that
history
guy
there.
yet? Did Oklahoma
I
fire
don't
that
know.
coach yet?
I don't
No.
know.
They got to fire him, I would think. Man alive. They were celebrating a victory over Maine in the middle of the
Oh,
season.
geez.
So
Well,
anyway,
the Wild stayed hot. The Frost
man
lost their
alive.
opener. I mean,
A while
hockey.
they're a machine. It's
Yes, they are.
unbelievable. And the thing about them is, talk about the comeback kids, man.
Yeah.
If they're down 2-1 going into the third, they're going to get at least 1 point out of the deal.
Yep.
They're quite the comeback team and pretty fantastic to the point that General Manager Guerin went out and traded for
Yes, that was.
a defenseman who's a sixth overall pick in the draft a few years ago. Not hadn't reached expectations, but he gave up a bundle. What?
Yes, he did. He gave up he gave
Not,
up Hunt and a bunch of picks, including their first
not,
rounder next year. Which,
uh,
if they keep playing like this, they'll probably be in the 20s. But still,
yeah,
gave up a lot.
yeah. Well, and four overall picks, right? Four. Not that it makes any difference.
Yeah,
I
and they
mean,
got
it is
one back. But
amazing
yeah,
when you look at the NHL draft, how many of them make it, how few make it. It's pretty. If what they get 7 picks each year, if two of them make it to the NHL, it's a shock. So
yeah.
it's not exactly giving up draft choice in the NHL isn't like giving them up in the NFL.
No,
But yeah, they've decided this is real, and
yeah.
Hines in the previous stop in Nashville had great magic when he first got there, and I
Hmm.
think that first full year was okay, and then they went to the tank. But heck, he could be one of those coaches that stays somewhere for 3-4 years
You never.
in the
Wow,
NHL. They might not
that's
replace
job
him for
security.
yes, by the
That's job
NHL
security in the
standards.
NHL.
Did you see that? We might have missed this that the guy in Boston,
Hmm.
Montgomery,
Hmm.
got fired last week. He was out of job for 5 days. He got hired someplace else.
Okay.
He got hired. It's unbelievable.
Oh, geez.
He'll never beat out Boudreaux though, who got fired at noon and was on his way to Anaheim at 6 o'clock
Right.
6 o'clock at night. The guy called
Yep.
him up, hired him on the phone 10 minutes
That's
after he
great.
got fired. So
Nothing like hockey. I think there's only 37 total hockey coaches.
that's right. The
37, and
entire, they
there's
all alternate.
seven or eight that are constantly unemployed. But as soon as someone gets fired, one of them gets to rotate back in.
When Emerson was here, I was in on the midday deal, little post practice thing they have
Yeah.
over there because he was in town for the opener. And
Oh yeah, right.
and I said no. I said somebody said something. Oh, this is your second chance. I said second chance. I said you're a novice. You'll get at least 4 or 5 jobs. I said don't worry about it. Something like that.
Yeah.
As soon as you get fired here, you'll just sit around, be a nice guy like you were here, do all those interviews that you did on the way out of town, and never say, "Hey, let's go get Dean. He'll come in and be the coach for a couple of years." So
Yeah.
that's who they made the trade with, by the way, here to get the
That's right.
defenseman too. That's Columbus,
Yes.
which is
Right.
rebuilding completely. So go. That's how you trade in the NFL. NHL is trade with the rebuilders, and
Yes.
and Columbus is one of those. So.
Frost lost last night 4-3. They blew a lead. It looks like.
Boy, and our Wolfies.
Mhm.
That was hard work the other night again,
Yeah.
man. They are not finishing it at all.
No, but
They
but
can't
they played
shoot.
but they played defense in that one at least. The effort
That
was
one.
better. I
Yes.
don't know. I don't think we have to have a parade for a veteran team to play hard for 48 minutes, but
No.
there's some progress there. We'll see. They play the Lakers tonight, so we'll see.
Yeah, they do. They play the Lakers, but they can't shoot.
No.
Yeah, Ant has been terrible down the stretch. The one loss at home. He was 0 for 8 for the fourth quarter and overtime. Then the other day he started off not the last game, but the one before that. He ended up. He made 3 out of his last 18 shots or something like that.
Was that the Houston loss? Like, they've had a lot. All these games have been close. It's just
and they you know, I wasn't at that Houston game when they got out, what, 19-4, they got outscored down the stretch or
Yeah,
something. And
they were up big, and then
Jim, Pete, and Grady were a little rattled watching that one because you had the big run to go ahead and everything was looking good, and then they
yep,
just tanked it.
yep.
Got booed. They got booed off the court,
Yes,
and
and Ants like, they're getting booed by our home crowd. I'm like, well,
well, Ant,
play
you
like that.
deserved it, and you deserved it too because you didn't making any clutch shots. Ant's back to my friend Terry Quincy's
Uh-huh.
motto about not motto, but saying about Ant. He
Yep.
loves everything about Ant, except every time he's going to shoot, he thinks he's going to miss.
Yep.
Every
Uh,
shot he takes, he thinks he's going to miss. And he was hot early, and now he's throwing up rocks. And I don't know, they have not, maybe they got a little, they finally got something out of DiVincenzo. I kind of
mhm.
tried to write about that. They've really gotten nothing out of him, which is a
Yeah.
shock to me.
Right.
The reason I liked the trade was him.
Yes.
Although Randall, they got to get the ball out of his hands, man.
Yeah.
The fact that he rebounds Mike and then dribbles up the court and holds the
Hmm.
ball for 8-9 seconds, they gotta change it. I don't know if you can change him, but he thinks he's a ball handler. He thinks he's a shooter, and he's not. Get the ball out
Yeah.
of his hand and let somebody else have the ball. But I don't know. It's a much bigger contrast to how whoever I was sitting next to. I said, this is completely different basketball than they
Hmm.
had to play last year.
Yeah.
Because Cat didn't need the ball.
No.
He needed it once in a while to make a
Right.
shot or something or
Right.
feed the post, but he did not. He
No.
did not have to handle the ball, and this guy's handling the ball more than Michael Connolly when he's on the court. So
It's
I
true.
don't know.
It feels like, if they were playing for the here and now and not for any kind of future trade or future whatever, kind of feels like a move to make at some point would be swap him and Nas out.
Yes,
Because he'd be a pretty good 25 minutes off the bench, give you some second unit scoring, play against the second string power forward and all that stuff. Because then
well,
you could actually bring some life into that unit and bring Nas up here. I don't know. I don't know what you
I don't
do.
know what they do. But hey, don't worry, Finchie's getting ready to take advantage of all those good young talent any day now.
Oh
So don't
gosh,
worry about it. The Iowa
that's like
Wolves, by the
yes.
way, the Iowa Wolves are a machine.
Well,
We got a we got a well rested group of young players up here. That's Luca's got had about what 5 minutes all year, and
yes. Well, Dillingham.
might not stop playing. And
No,
Dillingham didn't get off the bench the other
Dillingham
night.
has like his breakout game the other day, and they almost win because of him. Now he had a couple bad plays down the stretch that got him to overtime, and they lose. But he's like basically never been. He hasn't been heard from again since then. He had like 5 minutes the game after that, and had a DNP the other day. It's like,
Eight. I think
what?
he played
What's
eight,
the
right? He
what's the
played
point?
eight.
Yes, he played eight again. Like, what's the point of having all these guys? Is it just like at some point the future's got to be now? You can't just keep like Rudy played like 42 minutes the other day. It's like, what's
Yes.
going on here? Like,
I don't know. I
I don't
don't
know.
know.
Like I
But
looked at a box
hey,
score from some other team. I think it was when they played the Clippers the night. They played like 14 guys or something. Like they're just like running a whole bunch of different fresh bodies out there. And the Wolves are grinding down their veterans in game 19. I don't know.
well, I got a comparison for Randball. You can have this
All
one
right.
free.
Okay.
The MVP of the Twins, Willie Castro. The
Yes.
MVP of the Timberwolves, nah. He's their
Yeah.
best player.
Yeah.
He's their best player.
Yes. And he was
Yeah, he's the
throwing in a
liveliest
trade
player,
3 years
best
ago. I know.
player. He's
Yeah.
they're I don't know, they can't shoot. I said that the other day. I've done deep analysis on this team. They can't shoot. Now I had this line for the turkey count, but I didn't think of
Mm.
it in
That's right. The
time.
turkey. Yes.
So I tried to get it in Wednesday morning. It didn't make it, but I said Jaden McDaniels is making
Oh.
$26 million, and he would be a 7-5 favorite to beat Lavelle E. Neal III in a game of no dunk horse. And I ran it past Lavelle, and he was okay with it. The guy
Okay.
can't shoot.
No.
Stop. He's a
Speak. Speaking of a guy who every time he loads it up, I don't think it's going in. That is
No.
definitely him.
Yeah, and they didn't the other night when they're trying to hold the lead. They don't have him in
Hmm.
a game. They got
No,
Nah in the game because they know
right.
they can't throw the ball to him because he can't
Yeah,
make a shot. So
no,
what are they going to do with him?
I don't know. That's
I
the
don't know.
albatross right now.
Yeah,
That's the contract you don't want right now because he's just never gotten better. He can still play
no.
defense, but his game has
Any
not evolved a
policy,
single bit.
and about half the time he gets an official that gives him 3 fouls in the first quarter,
Yep.
and then he pouts, and
Right.
he's a sulker, and
Yep.
yeah, it's they say he's a great guy off the court with the buddies, and the
Yeah.
team they like him, but God, he's got no personality on the court. He's
No.
feeling sorry for himself all the time and mad at the officials and can't make a shot, and I don't know. They're
Yeah.
The Wild was vastly underrated, and
Yep.
this team is vastly overrated
Well,
right now when you watch them.
it's like I said on social media the other day. Every team we thought was going to like Minnesota sports, pro sports, the last 6 months. Every team we thought was going to be lousy is going to be great. Every team we thought was going to be great
Yes,
has disappointed us. That's
yes,
exactly.
that's and luckily for we had lousy expectations for the Vikings and the Wild, so
Yes, and the Lynx really
the
too.
Twins. Yeah, the Lynx, right. And the Twins, we didn't have that high expectations, but then they played good for 3 months,
Yes.
so then we had good
Right.
expectations. So,
Yep.
yeah, so yeah, you're right. The Lynx, I forgot that. They were supposed to finish ninth or something.
Yeah, they
So,
were supposed to be like a 16 win team, and next thing you know, they got 30 something.
Lindsay's back.
Yes, that's
Meanwhile,
right.
Lindsay's
He's assistant
replacement is
coach.
9-0. What's the what? The Gophers
Yes.
haven't lost. The women's team
No.
hasn't lost yet.
And they
So.
got injury to their best player too. We'll see how long it takes for her to get back. Braun is hurt again. We'll see how long it takes her to get back. But
Yeah.
yeah. Well, Patrick, I knew we could do it. I texted you last night. I said, "Man, everybody won this weekend. I don't know what we have to complain about, but I'm sure that's never stopped us. I'm sure we'll find something. I'm glad we got to complain about the Wolves because
Oh,
otherwise,
yes, they're
it just wouldn't be a show.
they're easy to complain about it. They haven't had an unsold ticket this year, though,
No,
right?
they haven't.
And every
That's
game's
right.
been a sellout. So
Yes. Well, at
that's
least they
not
got
going to
that.
last, though, if they keep playing like this. And I agree with you, Rudy. 42 minutes, you play him 30 for goodness sakes. I don't know what's going on there.
Fans here can accept outcomes. They cannot accept poor effort. That's what'll get you booed 100% of the time. If they don't think you're playing hard or playing as a team, they can sense the energy, and that's
I don't think. I think they're playing hard enough, but they're stupid.
Yeah.
So anyway.
They're not cohesive.
But they want Dillingham, that's for sure. The crowd wants Dillingham.
Yes, they want the young guys. Why not? Dillingham, play them all. Play them all.
Luka,
right.
Poor Luka. I wanted Luka. He was my secret weapon. He never played.
Oh.
Unbelievable.
We'll never see him again. All right, sir. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yep.